This is the GT73 Pro electric dirt bike, and honestly, its look and size are the first things that got my attention. Just standing next to it, you immediately notice those huge, chunky 25-inch fat tires, way bigger and beefier than most e-bikes I've ridden. And they give it a really tough, aggressive vibe. The matte black frame feels solid, almost like a small motocross bike, but with all the modern e-bike touches. I'd say it stands out on any street or trail just by its design. The bike has these bold lines and cool fenders, and the big digital display in the middle adds that high-tech touch, making me feel like I'm on something much more powerful than your average e-bike. From my experience, my first ride was honestly a mix of excitement and a bit of nerves. I wasn't exactly sure how an electric dirt bike this size would handle, especially with that 3,000-watt motor under the hood. I did worry a little about whether the power would be too much or if the battery would drain out quickly. After all, big promises on paper don't always turn into real-life results. But after actually buying it myself, taking it out for 3 days and logging about 25 miles, I feel like I've got a good grip on how it functions and what it's like to use for someone like me who wants both daily fun and something reliable for rougher rides. For context, I'm around 6 foot and on the heavier side, so I pay a lot of attention to frame durability and the feel of the bike. Let me talk about what it's been like actually riding the GT73 Pro. Setting it up was way easier than I expected. It comes mostly pre-assembled, and the rest is all straightforward. If you've put together a bicycle before, you'll be fine. I found that the biggest challenge was just putting on the front tire, mostly because it's so bulky. The included foam packaging was actually useful to prop up the bike since I don't have a specialized bike stand at home. Once it was ready to go, I noticed right away that the digital screen is really vibrant and modern. Switching between modes, Eco, Standard, and Turbo, is as simple as clicking a button. If you're new to e-bikes, Eco mode saves your battery the most and limits speed. Standard is a balanced mode. Turbo unleashes the full power, and that's when things get interesting. Acceleration hits a nice sweet spot in turbo mode. The 3,000-watt motor means you can get moving quickly, but it never feels like it's trying to buck you off the bike. The top speed that I reached was about 34 miles per hour, which is honestly wild for an e-bike like this, and it feels fast enough for both fun rides and getting places quickly. There's not much throttle delay. The second you twist, you get a smooth push. The dual suspension design with a beefy front fork and seat shock absorber makes it comfy over potholes, grassy parks, or even sandy paths. Those big tires definitely help too. You feel really planted and stable, whether you're taking it out on a normal road, up a steep hill, or testing it over rocks or gravel on a trail day. Key features that stood out for me include the dual removable 60V 18AH batteries. Battery anxiety is always a thing with e-bikes, and with this, you get the comfort of going for miles and miles. The specs say up to 85 miles per charge in pure throttle mode, and after a few longer rides, I haven't had to worry about running empty halfway through. And since the batteries are removable, and you've got 2 chargers, you can pop them out to charge in your apartment or garage, which is super convenient if you live in a building with no power outside. The hydraulic brakes are a big plus too. I tested them on some steeper slopes after rain, and they inspire real confidence. Stopping distance is shorter and stronger than I'd expect for such a heavy bike. Another cool part is the headlight. A lot of e-bikes have weak, kind of useless headlights, but this one is actually bright and adjustable. I could ride at night feeling fully visible and safe. Turning signals and a loud horn also make daily trips and commutes a lot nicer, especially in busy areas. In my opinion, the seat has just the right amount of padding for rides of an hour or two, but the height isn't adjustable. At about 33.4 inches, it felt comfortable for me, though if you're much shorter than 5'9", it might feel tall or hard to handle at stops. If you're tall or heavy like I am, that fixed frame and stiffness actually help, since you don't feel the bike flexing or sketchy over bumps. If you like keeping your gear with you, there's some storage under the seat. Enough for a few essentials like a bike lock or water bottle. I'd recommend this for anyone who's serious about combining off-road power with everyday convenience. The throttle response is better than most e-bikes in this price range, but it's not crazy torquey. If you're looking for a true dirt bike punch off the line, you might want something else. But this is smoother and less likely to spin you out if you're new to e-bikes. I was really surprised by how stable it felt in turbo, even when riding up hills or over sketchy ground. Very little loss of grip or wobbly steering. Let's get honest about what I don't like, because nothing is perfect. The biggest thing for me is battery installation and removal. I have to highlight this because every time I swap a battery, I end up feeling annoyed. The batteries don't slide in as smoothly as you'd hope. The top battery requires you to push it carefully into position, and sometimes you end up knocking it against the frame, so it takes a few tries and some time to lock in. If you're in a rush, it gets pretty frustrating, especially since it's not really clear which one to put in first until you figure it out by trial and error. The bottom battery is a little easier, but still, it's not as slick as other electric bikes where you just slot the battery in and go. I wish the design let you drop them both in from the top in one step, but maybe they'll fix it in the next version. Another thing is the turning radius. For city riding, it's fine, but if you ever have to do a tight U-turn or get out of a narrow garage, it feels kind of clumsy. Big bike, big tires, and not a lot of steering lock, so you might find yourself doing a few extra wiggles to turn around. It's honestly not a deal breaker for me, but worth knowing if you're dealing with small spaces often. From my experience, the storage space under the seat looks bigger than it actually is. It's enough for a Gatorade or a folded-up lock, but that's pretty much it. I also found that the zippers aren't placed in the most convenient spot, so getting stuff in and out sometimes takes more effort than it should.